Hello, welcome to a special edition of the Glasstire Top 5 from, it's not really 5. It's great to be in New York, huh?
It is.
It's sunny, it's beautiful.
It's so nice outside.
No, I'm not sweating. What have you seen in New York?
At David Zwirner right now in Chelsea, there's a show of works by John McCracken, and there's also a show of works by Alice Neel, and both of them are just fantastic. I was familiar with McCracken. He has a piece in the Menil collection, and this is a lot of works. There's some of them leaning up against the wall from the floor. There are some wall pieces and some just kind of pillars stationary in the middle of the gallery. And then Alice Neel, it's a show of figurative paintings by Neel, but they're just beautiful. You know, she's painting people of a lot of different body types and races and ethnicities and religions, and it's just kind of this amalgamation of people that were in her community in New York. At Hugo Augustine, there's a show of works by Steve Wolf. He died in 2016. The show is called Remembering Steve, and it's a bunch of his faux objects. So he makes fake realistic looking records, 45s, and most importantly books, and they're just beautifully made
Trump loyal sculptures.
Yes.
Why have a real book when you can have a book
that takes up the same amount of space but is art?
And you can't read it.
Raymond Pettibon
at
the new museum.
Yes, but you're a zine guy.
I am, and they had some of his
yes.
zines, and they had some of his comics, and that kind of thing. But then, so many great pieces about different wars that America's been in, and about different political commentary, and he touches on so many subjects, and the show is kind of organized thematically to show that.
I have been doing what one is not supposed to do Fair Week in New York, which is going to museums and seeing shows of people long dead. So I saw the Seurat show at the Met. This is a show based on his circus sideshow painting, which is in the Met's collection. It's a lot of different artists. It's all freak show, sideshow, carny, kind of 19th century stuff. A wonderful Daumier, a wonderful giant mural by a guy called Pelez. Speaking of abject clowns, there's also the famous Picabia hanging clown in his current retrospective at MoMA, which is the most joyful show I've seen in a long time. He started off as sort of like trying to be a cubist, and he was involved with the Dadaists as well, and very good friends with Duchamp. But then what's really killer are his later figurative paintings from the 40s and 50s. They're just amazing. It was such a fun show. Best thing I've seen in a long time. See Picabia at MoMA. I went to the Morgan Library at the suggestion of David Levi Strauss, who runs the arts journalism program at SVA. And it was a little show of works on paper from the Stockholm Museum. And it, is Renaissance Italian stuff all the way up to, really, it stops in the 18th century. But, I mean, just a killer Dürer, Rembrandt, Van Eyck. Such a pleasure to see stuff like that. Gentle, quiet, not crowded at all. I went to the Armory Fair straight from the Picabia show at MoMA, which did not do the Armory any favors. How can I put this delicately?
A joyful, huge show of...
It sucked. It sucked. The best thing I can say about a lot of the work on view is that it's very good decoration. There's good decoration at this place. I actually really enjoyed this absolutely juvenile adolescent installation where people had drawn into the shag carpet on the walls like boobies, and they had hand-blown glass bongs on the floor, and then they had 3D printed. I enjoyed that booth actually quite a bit.
There's a lot of very impastoed things that are sticking very far off the wall. The Bad at Sports guys are here. Printed Matter is here. I always love going to Printed Matter whenever I come to New York.
What's interesting, of course, with the fairs is the underlying conversation about the death of the gallery. And so one dealer that I spoke to actually said off the record that it was a cry for help that they were at Nada. People don't go to galleries, and this dealer said people see art on Instagram and they think that they've seen the show, when of course you gotta see the stuff in person. that's just a summation of some of the things we've seen this week. I haven't seen everything. I missed ADAA again, and I really wanted to go. It's fun to be up here looking around and looking at art in the Big Apple.
Yeah, go see some art.
Go see some art.
Can I pet your dog? Yeah. Oh my gosh.